You never know what you'll see at the Muscle Car and Corvette National's Barn Finds and Hidden Gems section of the show. This year, a long-lost concept AMX 3 was on display, a wild mid-engine AMC built in Italy to compete with the DeTomaso Pantera in the style of the Ford GT40.
How did the barn find section come about?
What happened was a gentleman who was a regular with us who showed high-end Corvettes, triple diamond quality cars. He called me with a car that he was able to purchase, virtually a barn find. He sent me pictures of it and he said, you know, I've got this car and it's not shiny, it's not pretty, but it's a 427, 435 Corvette. It's sat in his garage since 1972, been trying to buy it. And he sent me pictures of the car sitting in the garage with flat snow tires. And I thought, how cool would it be to put this tired, dusty, dirty, real deal 427, 435 Corvette in the show. So convinced him to bring the car up. He brought it, and it was the talk of the show. Everybody was all over it, and that's where it started. We said, now wait a minute, we might be onto something here. And everybody likes to hear the stories. You know, why is this car out there? So if you have a common 69 Camaro and it's a 350 car, we love them. But that's not going to be what you're going to see in barn finds. You're going to see the Yenkos, you're going to see the Hemi cars. This year we have an AMX 3 in the show, which is, again, a car that I've known about for many years that I'd always wished to be here. And this year it's the point car in our barn finds and hidden gems.
We brought Ian's father's AMX 3 chassis number 1.
It's my dad's car.
And how long did he own that car?
1973.
Wow. So tell us a bit about the history of the car.
Came over from Italy after being cannibalized to build another of the AMX 3s. Dick Teague, being a personal friend of my father's, didn't want to see it rotting out back of AMC building in Detroit. Contacted my dad. Dad picked it up, turned it yellow from pea soup green, flared the fenders a bit, and then put it away.
There was a story behind it. We knew of the car. My son lives in northern Michigan, and being an AMC enthusiast, it's kind of that holy grail unicorn car that everybody knew about, but the story was more or less that the owner was kind of a hermit type, and you know, wasn't a guy that was bringing the car out, and had owned the car, I believe, since 1972, and you know, never brought the car to shows or anything like that. So in casual talk to my son, had said, hey, if you ever hear anything about this or a friend says they know about this car, let's see if we can find it. And ended up in May, he was at a car show in the Traverse City area. Lo and behold, he looks across the field. Here's this car sitting there with a pickup truck next to it with an engine on a wooden stand. So he waited and waited, and finally a guy walked up and reached into the pickup truck to get his cooler out, and my son Ian walked over and introduced himself and said, hey, you know, we noticed your car. I know what it is. It's, you know, tell me the story. And the guy went on to tell him his father had bought the car in '72 and the family owned it. My son asked what his plans were with it, and he said they were planning on restoring it and that it hadn't been out in many, many years. And this was the first time he had it at this probably 35-car local car show. He had asked him whether he'd consider bringing it to the show, and the guy very honestly stated, I'm not going to tow this thing to Chicago in November. He's being very polite and all that. Well, lo and behold, another couple months go by. A gentleman by the name of George Huseman gives me a call, who's a regular participant in our show, shown many cars with the Shelby's, Boss 420, it's always premium cars. Called me up one day and he says, Bob, you're never going to guess what I have for you for your barn finds and hidden gems. And he says, have you ever heard of a AMX 3? And I'm like, does it happen to be yellow, and did you find it in northern Michigan? And you could hear the silence on the other side, and he's like, how the hell did you know about that car? And I told him the story, and he said, well, Bob, I've been trying to buy this car for 7 years, and a call finally came. He says, wasn't telling anybody about it or that it was in the works. He says, I wasn't going to do a thing with it until it was in my shop. I'm standing next to it right now, and the shop's in Michigan. So I said, please bring that. And he goes, that's why I'm calling you.
It will be new for the most part, and depending on what your interpretation of new is fairly subject, as it was a prototype, and well, everything everything on it's different. And we're hoping to be back here in 2 years with it looking as good as it can. Please follow us on amx3.org. It's our own website, and it's pretty thorough as far as history of the cars and history of the actual 9 chassis and 7 bodies.
We'd like you to join us there for the restoration.
Come along for the ride.